Welcome to the Jorvik Stables Open House. May I humbly offer to take you on a tour of the historically significant Jorvik Stables? Oh, it's you, Juni. Apologies, I'm still practicing my welcoming speech for the guests. I wouldn't have thought it myself, but this is a lot tougher than it looks. When Johanna first asked me if I wanted to volunteer at this event, I thought the monkeys were biting me. The monkeys? Did Isabel let Diggory run wild again? Oh, apologies. It's a Portuguese idiom, meaning I was intrigued. Sorry, it seems like that one didn't translate well. Volunteering as a tour guide here is a really exciting opportunity. I love history and could talk about this stuff for hours. Talking in front of people makes me nervous though, even with Cielo by my side. I've read everything there is to read about this historic landmark, and I'd like to make sure that I don't bore my audience with too much detail. Oh, Cielo, you're not exactly the target audience here. Juni, could you help me practice my tour? It will mean the world to me. It would be great if you could lend me your ear. What do you say? Are you and Chocolate Chip ready to be entranced by the history, legends, and mysteries of Jorvik Stables? This is the first stop in our little tour, the historical Jorvik Stable Barn. Regrettably, this is not the original barn from John Jarl's days. The original barn was lost after an earthquake shook the island in 1871. Granted, that still makes this barn over 100 years old and quite an artifact. One in dire need of renovation, if you ask me. It's a real fire hazard. This is interesting. Tell me more about this earthquake. Rumor has it that this was no natural earthquake, but caused by a duel between Maurice Buttergood and Bernard Winterwell XII, all the way down in Epona. The two families had been rivals ever since the first Bernard Winterwell led a rebellion against the Buttergoods back in 1588. The feud escalated over the next 200 years, and the descendants managed to blow themselves up while dueling in front of their dynamite factory. Very smart. Your region history can be a bit strange sometimes. Shall we continue? This is the old riding hall. It used to be the center of all equestrian events here in the Jorvik Stables, but it's been closed for ages. There are all sorts of rumors why it has been closed for so long, and the variety of theories is quite impressive. It pretty much ranges from the proprietor being broke to being haunted. Haunted? Isn't that a little far-fetched? A little. The story goes that it's the ghost of Herman's great-great-great-aunt. Apparently she was a super successful equestrian and competed in all classes. It was frowned upon at the time that a woman would compete, and with a regular saddle to boot. But she was strong-willed and very ambitious, so the night before the Grand Prix de Jorvik she was up late in this very riding hall, trying out her choreography until late at night. They say that in the morning she was nowhere to be found, but that a pinkish dust still marks her footprints to this very day. The Grand Outdoors Arena, home to several grand competitions, and the horse market when they're in town. Apparently, it also used to be a popular stage for concerts. The place is actually quite old. Apparently, this very ground used to be where the National Assembly was held dating back to the 14th century. Wow, that was a long time ago. Indeed, it was in 1306 that Jorvik Day was formally introduced as an annual assembly of the clan chiefs. This place was both the Parliament and the Supreme Court, so they made laws and ruled on disputes and such. Every 3 years they elected a new law speaker to oversee the assembly and to rule in case of disagreement. These law speakers lived dangerous lives. People were a lot less friendly back then, if you catch my drift. You're such a clown, Cielo, and I still love you. If you squint, you can catch a glimpse at the most remarkable landmark in South New Jorvik, the lighthouse. Just kidding, it's quite visible, which is the whole point of a lighthouse, am I right? What's the history of this particular lighthouse? It is said that after a particularly bad, night out on the town, Urban Jarl sailed out into the bay on a bet that he could steer his brig by himself without a crew. It was a cold autumn night, and even though he got out of the harbour, he got lost in the thick fog. According to legend, he saw a golden horse stand on the shore where the lighthouse is now. While turning, he ran his ship on a rock though, and had to swim home. But he survived. That's good, right? Legend has it that this was the beginning of the downfall of the Jarl family. Your ignorance shocks me, dearest. Ah, the petting zoo. Not part of the official tour, but I couldn't resist. Look at that pig, it's so happy. On a more related note though, Jorvik Stables housed a petting zoo back in the 50s. Do you want to guess what the kids could pet back then? Enlighten me. The story goes that when the first Icelandics came to Jorvik, people didn't know what to do with them. They thought they were too small for adults and too energetic for kids. And the vets thought the Ices were lame when they tolted. Ridiculous, right? So they put them in petting zoos because they were so pretty and fluffy and calm when handling them. It took a while before people discovered that these ponies could carry an adult without issue. Let's move on. I know you'll love what comes next. Last but not least, the broodmares. Aren't they gorgeous? They used to focus mostly on Jorvik warm-blood horses here, but now they breed character-strong sports horses of all breeds. At least that's what it says on the website. What is the history of the Jorvik warm-blood? The history of the Jorvik warm-blood started with the horses brought here by the first human settlers, long before John Jarl and the Vikings showed up. They say there were wild horses on Jorvik even before the people came here, but that's probably nonsense. Even if you look at the funky coat colors and all that, horses don't grow on trees, These presumed wild horses must have come from somewhere. Until someone proves me wrong, I'll go with the theory that Coulter brought them during the Ice Age when an ice bridge connected Jorvik to Scandinavia. Now you don't want to leave. Why am I not surprised? And that brings us to the end of our tour of historic Jorvik Stables. I hope I didn't babble. Thank you for letting me practice my guided tour with you, Juni. I feel so much more confident now. Feel free to look around everywhere at this marvelous event. I tried cuddling that foal in the petting zoo earlier, but Sirio gave me the stink eye of the week. Thanks again for helping me.